Great. Well, welcome everyone to the Career Pathways 2021 information session. My name is Manuela Contreras. My pronouns are she, her, and ella, and I am the Professional Development and Programs Associate here at the Council. So I'm going to get started with just a small video.
The thing I enjoy most about the Career Pathways program are the people. I'm really inspired that these will be the future leaders of the field.
It's forcing me to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And it's also helping me understand in my leadership style when to scream and when to whisper. There are several different avenues to solving a particular problem. And having an opportunity to participate in such a program is helping me identify what those avenues are to solve big problems.
It's helped me be more strategic about the ways that I interact with the staff at my own foundation and how I communicate my ideas in interdepartmental settings and how I speak to people at different levels of leadership within my own organization, reaching out and being a proactive networker in a way that I wasn't before.
Great. Well, we love to just show a little bit of our videos because our alumni are incredible, and that's just something that we're so proud of. So for today's agenda, so today we're going to be going over just the overview, career pathways, what the program is, so you could really understand everything. We have, as you may have seen, we have some big changes happening for 2021, which we're really excited about and really proud of. So we'll be diving deep into that so you understand what your specific program is going to look like if you choose to apply with us. And then we're going to be talking about some next steps, what this is going to look like after this session and some space for you to answer some Q&A. Great. So I introduced myself already. I'm Manuela Contreras, but I'd love to introduce you to our Vice President of our organization, of our team and department, Karan Moody-Harden. Karan, are you on the line?
I am here.
Hi, Karan.
Hi, Manu. So glad to be here, everybody. Hi again, my name is Karan Moody-Harden. I am Vice President of Programs and Peer Engagement here at the Council. I have been at the Council for 6 years and have been very intricately involved in shepherding this Career Pathways program for most of that time. Manuela, is relatively new to this team, over 1.5 years now. And so she's doing so much to continue to shepherd and really look over this program, as well as going forward in a number of other areas. As it pertains to pathways, I'd love to just give some background, Manu, if that's okay, about pathways before we get into.
Please.
Yeah. So I came to the Council, like I said, roughly 6 years ago. And when I came, I was quickly told by our then CEO, Vicky Sproul, that we had this leadership development program that was on hiatus at the time, that we had started a few years prior, but the Council had intentionally taken a pregnant pause. And so what I learned about this program, just from walking in and kind of seeing what I could, was that it had this incredible value and opportunity. And I was really tasked and charged with revamping and bringing it back, essentially. Because it had been off our programming for, at that point, I guess about 3 years. So what I learned is back in 2009 and 2010, the Council had did some work to just see what the demographics of the sector were. So really just taking a pulse of, at that time, leaders throughout the sector. I think we surveyed around 550 CEOs and executive directors of foundations and grant-making organizations, really just to get very baseline data about those foundation leaders. What we learned is that 90% of them were white men, 3/4 of them came from outside of the sector. And so that was very telling for us, among a number of other things. That data was really what was the genesis of Career Pathways. And so we wanted to figure out, how can we create this pipeline development program for leaders, particularly leaders of color, those representing underrepresented communities, marginalized communities, and prepare them for leadership positions, particularly executive level leadership positions in philanthropy. So that was primarily the genesis. So the council at that time basically ran a 3-year pilot over 2010 to 2012 of these really tiny, small, 10 or 11 folks pilot testing of this Pathways program that focused on individual leadership, foundation leadership, sector leadership, and basically culminating all of that in addition to having executive level support and coaching. And then at the end, what we learned, we did an impact study after that 3 years, was that the program was doing exactly what we thought and intended for it to do. Around 87% of the alumni that had matriculated through the program at that time had moved on to C-suite and executive level positions. So we got a really good sense of this program is doing what we thought that we wanted it to do. So that was a lot of the early genesis of Pathways. So if you know folks that were in Pathways around 2010, 2011, 2012, it is still the same program, but so much has evolved since then, and it's a very different experience that we have now. At the core, it's still the same, but certainly since we revamped the program and started offering it about 5 years ago. So I want to just tell you a little bit about what the program looks like just at the high level, the learning sessions. So traditionally, if we were not in this pandemic, we would be meeting in person. This program typically would meet 4 times a year in person. But that is clearly not the world that we're living in right now. And so we have had to pivot and really think about what this modified or revamped virtual experience would look like. Given that, and Manu will get to some of this later, it's given us the opportunity to touch so many more people. So our traditional in-person program would be 24 leaders that would be selected after they'd applied. And those 24 leaders would come from 24 different institutions, foundations, organizations. So historically, if we were in person, we would not be allowing more than one person in any given cohort to come from the same organization. So in this virtual experience, we still have the 4 components. We're obviously not meeting in person, but the first one is really around individual leadership. And you can see just a quick snapshot of that on the screen, that the individual leadership is really focused on you, I, as a leader, what that means, your values, your vision. You know, we do a lot of just ground setting at first. Historically, we do an MBTI. In the past, we've done a 360. Like, we want to get a very well-rounded picture of who's in the room, of who the leaders are, and also start to really just kind of figure out what is it that motivates you as a leader individually. Much of that will still continue to be in this virtual setting, but it gives us an opportunity, as opposed to doing it over 3.5, 4 days in person, to really spend more time breaking that out. And we'll talk more a little bit about that later. Field leadership, that is basically all things across the sector. In our traditional in-person program, we would basically simulate the first 100 days as a CEO or your first 100 days as a foundation leader. But essentially, we want to figure out, like, what are the pressing needs in philanthropy right now? What's collectively keeping us up at night? Collectively keeping up leaders of color up at night. But certainly spend a great deal of time just looking broadly across the organization or across the sector, the philanthropic sector. Next, with respect to organizational leadership, that's really just deep diving within the foundation, strategic within the foundation, and recognizing that not all foundation leaders are experts in everything, but certainly as someone who is aspiring to be CEO or aspiring to lead an organization, what are the critical sort of must-have competencies in order for one to lead successfully? And then obviously culminating the experience. So our culminating experience is more so an opportunity for us to do what we've called a case study, a home institution case study, which gives you an opportunity. It's a deep dive on a leadership challenge that you may be facing within your organization or is closely connected to you. And basically, in the past, we would spend almost a year really working on that case study with your peers, with other thought leaders, et cetera. So that will look very differently, obviously, in a virtual format. But that is the gist of what we're hoping for this 4-part learning sessions that will be happening virtually. Manuela will talk more about the amount of time, obviously, because these are not just one moments in time, but things that will be spread out over a series of weeks and months. But at the highest level, you know, we wanted to hold true to what we found to be so incredibly valuable about this program. That is the content that we have here. This just gives you a gist of that, and the executive coaching. When I'm often asked, like, what is the secret sauce to Pathways? I'll let you in on the secret. It's the executive coaching. Okay, spoiler alert. So the executive coaching is like incredible. It is so good because we have coaches that are working with this program that have been with the program since the first cohort in 2009, 2010. We also have newer coaches. They reflect the people that are in the room. All of our coaches are people of color. And so they're incredible in helping us to supplement what's happening in the classroom, if you will. So they will continue to support and coach and lead and mentor even in this virtual format. So I'll stop there, Manuela. I see there's a question about, are the coaches from CCO? We have one coach who also works for CCO, who's contracted.
Thank you so much, Karan. Thank you. That was wonderful. And I see questions coming in the chat, so I appreciate you all sending that. Please continue to send those in. Great. So a lot of you have really asked how is this special? You know, what makes this different from all the other ones? And Karan really went into a lot of this already, but I really do want to just highlight them because this is just a few of the biggest benefits from our program that we've continued to hear throughout the years from our alumni that have gone through the program. The intense focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion and racial equity, not only just talking about it to expand our concepts and understanding about these topics, but really diving deep into strong conversations, uncomfortable conversations that we've had. Like David said in the video, you know, getting comfortable with those really uncomfortable conversations that really push you forward as a leader, which is so, so important, especially now more than ever. The incredible networking that you have in this program that you have within your own cohort of engaging with such dominant leaders that are going to be the future leaders and CEOs and presidents of our organizations across the field, but also the opportunity that you have to engage with our alumni network in our peer-to-peer conversations, in our mentorship groups, in when they come and visit and call. It really is a huge benefit. And then once you graduate from the program, you'll be part of this alumni network, which we are continuing to expand and work with. And it really is great. Okay, so we want to dive deep now into what this year's program is going to look like and how it's going to look like a little different than years past. So what we continue to share is, for us, our program and why I love working on this team and this program specifically is the intentionality that we take with every decision that we make in this program. Everything really is about ensuring that you have an incredible experience to really push your bounds as a leader and really propel you to be able to become the strong leader that we really need in our sector. So even though we are transitioning to a virtual program, we want to keep these core values of what Career Pathways is throughout our virtual experience. That being staying true to our values of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Continuing to keep deeper connections within internal and external community, Career Pathways community. keeping the core of the self-awareness and direction and developing those values, and advancement, of course, at the core, advancing your leadership journey. What are some really exciting things that we're looking forward to expand on and develop in this new opportunity this year is the opportunity to engage with our platform. We're going to be bringing in a new virtual platform. We understand we're all absolutely exhausted of Zoom. We're all exhausted of these virtual cameras, but we are going to bring in an engaging platform to hopefully make it better and stronger. And so you're excited about this opportunity. Yes, as much as we cannot feel like we're on Zoom, we will try our best. We have a great events team that does really well with that. And then also, as leaders, we feel that it's very important for us to step into the uncomfortableness. You know, we understand that this past year was very difficult for all of us to immerse ourselves in this environment, but there was also a huge opportunity for us to expand ourselves as leaders and what it really means to be a leader in this environment, what it means to be a leader and leading a team in a virtual space. And so we're going to dive deeper into that with our digital leadership curriculum components and thinking about how we're a leader in this new digital world. As I said before, we're really working with our alumni to create mentorship groups and develop more of these peer-to-peer discussions that we had last year that were strong and super, super powerful. And then lastly, and then we'll pause for questions. We know this is a lot of information. We want to give you an idea of what the schedule is going to look like. So you can kind of see what your time is going to be and the commitment that it's going to look like. So as Karan mentioned, we divide the curriculum and the entire program into four learning sessions. The way that we're going to be presenting it this year is we're going to be separating it out per month. And so the first learning session is going to be separated out through the entire month of August, and we're going to be doing a session every week. So instead of meeting for a couple days, you'll be doing more introduction sessions where you'll be able to meet your cohort, you'll be able to meet your executive coach, you'll be able to meet our team, which will be a really strong part of that experience as well, and do more of that 101 first level into the program and get to know yourselves as well. So that's going to be separated into small sessions throughout the month. And then the rest of the sessions are going to be a couple day sessions for 1 week or like 3 days of in September, October, and then you have a break in November, and then we'll be coming back together in December. The unique part about this program, as Karan shared, is that we're expanding this program. We had a huge request about people needing this sort of professional development. And so we are expanding it. Instead of one cohort, we're going to be doing 2 cohorts. And so what that means for you is that when you're applying, you can share your preference as to which one of these cohorts you can join. As you can see, the dates are a week apart. So as a leader, if you know you have a CEO board retreat that you just cannot miss and you need to go, looking at these dates and connecting that to your calendar will be important for you. So we could, try to say, we do like to say disclaimer, it is preference and what's preferable, but we will be looking at the full picture of everything and deciding how to bring the groups together. And all of this is extremely important because attendance is required. We do not have flexibility on that. We understand that this is a lot, and that's why we appreciate that you're here today to hear about all of this. But this is a huge requirement, and what we need people to be very involved in the program. And so people that we accept, we want to ensure that they're committed to and being able to join all of these sessions. So understanding the dates is very important. Lastly, it's the type of communities. And so we are doing a full virtual program, but as you see the learning session 4, we are trying with our might and praying to all the gods that we will be in a situation where we can be in person and hopefully convene in person for our last session in Washington, D.C. But huge disclaimer, we cannot guarantee anything. We do not know because we don't know the level of our place. And so we will be planning for both. And then if we're able to come together in December, wonderful. We'll all be able to, you know, celebrate our last learning sessions and presentations there. But if they're not, then we will be virtual. And even if we do meet in person, we'll be doing hybrid to ensure that even if we're able to meet in person, folks that still don't feel comfortable joining are able to come together. Great, so I'm gonna pause there because I know that's a lot of information and open the floor up for any questions. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone want to unmute themselves? And okay.
I have a question. This is Julio Suarez. Apologies, I know you had on the screen, but so how many sessions in total? And then how long is each session? Are they all the same length? Are they varying length, etc.?
Yeah, so the first learning session is going to be 4 sessions in that month of August, and they'll be small 1-hour sessions. So instead of diving deep into a full couple days of sessions, what we want to do is separate that out to kind of ease your way into the program and this virtual space. So that's going to be throughout all of August and then into September. And then that September, October, and December dates, those are going to be more traditionally 2 to 3 day sessions, all connected. For us, it's very important that we don't hold you for many, many hours and really give you space to, you know, take a breather and being dynamic with our planning.
Yeah, I would just add, thank you for that, Manu. I think that was one of the things someone was asking in the chat about, B, I think had asked about if these are full day sessions. No, absolutely not. Like Manu said, we were very clear that Pathways is also just a small segment of the work that we do and the programming that we offer at the council. So that would just not be conducive for us, as well as I know for the rest of you. So we're going to be very thoughtful about how that breaks out. I think, as Manu said, the first learning session is going to be these 1-hour sessions that we spread out over the course of a month. But as the program progresses, we're going to play around with the times, obviously, because we want to make sure that we've got the full engagement of everyone that's in the cohorts. Keep in mind that we'll be running 2 cohorts simultaneously. So that's part of this virtual design, is there will be 2 24-person cohorts. And so that by design also is going to be obviously taking up a great deal of time. The other thing I would mention is just, you know, for Pathways in the past, when we were meeting in person, it was very easy for the group to bond, you know, really create community, foster those relationships, basically become besties over the course of the year. It was pretty funny to see how by the end of the year, you will think that you have been around this person your whole entire life. And so we cannot obviously bottle that up and recreate this in this virtual sense, but our intent is to create as much opportunities as we can to foster that networking. Begin at the end of the day, that is also extremely critical to your success and the success of this program, is that if we're able to really foster this community of leaders, of people that really want to go on or move into senior leadership positions in the sector. And so the relationship, the peer learning aspect, the ability to share, connect, and learn from each other is extremely important to us. So it's not all learning and tactical, if you will. You know, there will be opportunities to just connect. We've had these community building hours with the recent cohort in 2020, wellness time to connect. And it's been happy hours we've done. And so I don't want to just give you the impression that just what the dates that you have there, that there may be other things that may supplement the time. And folks are also encouraged to self-organize. And so our current cohort from 2020, who is actually still wrapping up their program, they self-organize and get together all the time. We have other cohorts from years past. They continue to get together like every first Friday or something like that. So the community aspect is very important to us. And I just wanted to underscore that.
Thank you,
Hello.
Karan. Oh, I hear someone.
Yes, it's me, Manila.
Hi. So good to
Hello.
see you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hua. I'm from the Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies. And thank you, Karen and Manuela, to have this webinar session. I've been following the career pathway over the last year, so I'm just absolutely excited that we arrived at this point, even if we're going to have it virtually. I think it's an incredible opportunity. My question relates to the curriculum and the folks or the experts who will lead these learning sessions. I assume that they are the same as the previous cohorts, but I'm most curious, how did you select I don't know what you call them within the cohort lingo, but the experts leading these learning sessions in terms of their expertise and their experience in philanthropic sector as well as the nonprofit sector.
I will take a stab at that. I also see a question about cost, and I will answer that in just a second. If you haven't gone to the FAQs on cof.org/career pathways, there is an FAQs there, and it does break down the cost as well as some other things there. But to your question, was it at MACP? Yes. To put it simply, so I am one of the co-facilitators for Career Pathways. I was not previously. I was much more in a day-to-day kind of management role. And over the past several years, I have transitioned to more of a facilitator with this program. We also have hired facilitators that we bring in that will be supplementing, co-leading with me. We have Dr. Montressa Washington is one. She is a full-time faculty member at a university in the Northeast. She also has had a great deal of experience with Career Pathways, given that she's engaged with this program now for maybe 5 or 6 years. So she's very familiar. So we will likely be the main facilitators, but not all of the speakers. So the beauty in Pathways is that we bring in lots of alumni. And as Manuela mentioned, we have the alumni mentoring group. Our executive coaches as well are a part of the faculty. So that helps round out the folks that you'll be spending the most amount of time with. But the folks that you will see and meet are folks that have been in this program, have either gone through this program or been connected for a very long time. They are overwhelmingly people of color because we want them to be reflective of the folks in the room. And the other thing I would mention is just the alumni themselves who are sitting in the seats, at many of the foundations that you are at. I'm sure you know Heather Kukla, who is an alumni of this program, who's at MACP. I love her. And so many others, so we have Tanya Allen, who recently is leaving Skillman, but president and CEO of Skillman Foundation, who's now moving to McKnight. We've got Brennan Gould. She has spoken a lot. She's the CEO and president of the Charlottesville Area Community Foundation. Lejeune, Montgomery, Kellogg. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so the Alumni Network is about as rich as it can get. And so we use the opportunities to tap into those folks, to lend their thought leadership, to lend their expertise, because I cannot, simulate what it's like to be a foundation leader on a day-to-day basis, because I haven't had that role, but I know many people that have, that look like the folks in this room. And so we try to make sure we bring in their perspectives. They're sharing their leadership play, they're giving, telling their story essentially. We also bring in executive coaches, executive search firms. And I wanted to mention that because that is also a really critical piece of this program. We'll be doing it differently, obviously, because this is a virtual in person. You'd obviously be meeting with executive search firms. Let me preface this by saying our goal is not for you to finish Pathways and then start applying for a job, and because I do not need nobody calling me at the council saying, oh, this person, I signed them up, paid all that money, and then they quit. We're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is prepare you for whatever your next move is so that you feel well equipped. Now, if you leave on your own fruition, and Pathways has set you up and prepared you for it, that is great. And let me be clear, half the people that have gone through Pathways have all moved on. And most of the times we have lots of transitions while they're in the program itself. That's super normal. The networking that takes place in the cohort facilitates that a lot as well. But we want folks, whether that's to continue to lead in their organization or to lead someone else, to really be positioned for that next level. And so we will do our best to support you in that. The executive coaching, for some folks in this program, they've never gone through that process before. And many folks have, but we also bring in, I don't know, if we were in person, I mean, you would interact with easily 6 to 10 different search firms that source in philanthropy. That may look different in this virtual format, as well as in that third learning session where we normally do the organizational leadership piece. We would also simulate mock interviews. And so we would give you an opportunity to meet with a search firm one-on-one outside of your meetings, to spend time with them, to do some prep and training and ask questions. It's our opportunity to demystify the search process. And particularly for leaders of color, it's been important for us to do that. Case study, you want to jump on that, Manu? I see you answering in the chat.
Yeah, of course, Karan. Thank you for that. So thank you, Cecilia, for asking about the project-based work. Yeah, so one of our really great programs and an outcome that you can really take back with you to your institution is our home institution case study. So this is a project that you get to work on throughout the year. Throughout the program. So for you all, the half the year. And this is really where we're thinking about what is a problem within your institution that you would like to address? What is something that you've wanted to work on and improve within your institution? And you work on that throughout the program and really dive deep into how you can create a solution for that, and then engage with stakeholders across your organization, engage with stakeholders in our network, and expand how you can really address this problem. We do encourage you to push your bounds in terms of thinking how racial equity can play a role in that, but also thinking about how you're going to present this. As an executive leader, you have to be ready to be able to deal with some of these major problems that you want to focus on in your institution. So not only do we think about the solution and the project, but we're also thinking about presentation. So your last learning session, you actually presented to your colleagues here in the cohort, as well as alumni in the sector. So it really prepares you, and our intention is once you graduate, you present this to your executive team and executive level, even board of directors, if you can, to be able to really implement these. And we've seen a lot of our alumni implement the home institution case studies, and it really evolved into something great and make a huge impact. Saw that there was another question in the sign-in sheet about is a participant paired with a sponsor who advocates on a participant's behalf and actively helps to advance the participant's career? So that's a great question. We don't have a set sponsor that will be guiding you through the program, but what we do have, as we mentioned, the executive coach, which really is a great support that guides you through the program and it pushes your bounds. And then also you have an alumni community that also is always engaging with you and mentoring you throughout your process. Okay, great. So we're at a great step. You all have loved everything you've heard from Karan and I, and you want to apply. So let's dive deep into what that's going to look like. So in order for you to apply, you need to be an employee of a grant-making organization, foundation, or philanthropic institution. If, for example, Patricia, to your point, if you're in transition and you're taking a hiatus, but you're still affiliated with your organization and you're still an employee of the organization, as long as there's an organization supporting you and backing you in this, then we definitely encourage you to still apply. Each of the people that apply do need to have a 5 to 7 year experience and be at a mid-senior level experience. What we'd like to say is that this program is really geared for people that are about, what we'd like to say, maybe three steps from being a president or a CEO. This is very focused on executive leadership, and so we want to make sure that there are people that have that experience and ready to make that big step into their career. Connected to that, this program is very seriously focused on people that are ready to take that step. So if you're in a really great place but you don't really see yourself being in senior leadership and being a CEO of your organization, this program may not be for you, because this program really is focused on you pushing yourself to get to that point and hopefully applying to be the next CEO or president of your organization or senior executive of your organization. Part of the reasons why it's important for you to be affiliated with the program is because of the recommendation that you need to have from your employer of your home institution case study. We do accept nonprofits on an occasional basis, and so if you're part of a nonprofit, we do encourage you to still apply, but it is very case-by-case basis. The cost of the program is based on your membership status through the Council on Foundations. So if your organization and institution you're connected with is a member of the Council on Foundations, your cost is at $3,200. But if you're a non-member, then it's $4,500. The application process is you have to apply through the application. The application does include a couple strong questions, which you'll see on our website. And then including with your application, you must give us a letter of recommendation, which we encourage to be from your CEO or someone high level in your organization, a resume, and a professional headshot. Something that's really new that hasn't happened before, which we're happy about, is that in the past, because we've only been able to have one cohort, only one person from an institution can apply. Because of the expansion of the program in our 2 cohorts, we are allowing 2 people from an institution to apply. No more than 2 people. The organization does have to determine which 2 people they want to present as their candidates for the year. We cannot guarantee that both people will be accepted and they will not be in the same cohort, but it is a new opportunity that we wanted to highlight. And lastly, we just want to make sure that all of you know our deadline, which is February 15th, which is coming up. Great.
Manu, can I just give a point of clarification? I know that someone asked about whether you want to lead, excuse me, your own organization or any other organization. Our vested interest is diversifying executive leadership across this sector that may be in your organization or it may not be in your organization. So I just wanted to be clear about that. Most folks that have gone through, because we do audit where our Pathways alumni are, most of them do leave their organization in order to go to that next level or sometimes to take on, like a CEO executive role. But many are given opportunities within the organization as well.
Kelly, clarify, this includes senior level positions, other,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. It's not just presidents and CEOs, but also any like suite level positions, finance, operations, HR, all of that. So then the last big thing that we wanted to talk about is our scholarship program. So this is something we're very excited for. The first time ever, we are opening a scholarship program for this program. We understand the price of this is quite expensive for a leadership program, but it's And we don't want to create any more, and we want to help with any financial barriers that anyone may have. And so we have opened this scholarship up with the partnership of Robert Wood Johnson Foundation in honor of David Waldman. And this is, we really highly encourage folks who identify with Black, Indigenous, people of color, transgender, gender nonconforming. The requirements are that you must be applying to the 2021 program. That's really the only requirement. And there is a small application in addition to this, which is 2 small questions that you would have to answer. Does anyone have any questions about the scholarship? The scholarships will be just on a case-by-case basis. Some will be partial and some will be full scholarship.
I don't see any scholarship questions, but I do see a question here about, one about sharing the presentation. So I think we can absolutely do that. And then the other question, it looks like from Kimberly, was asking, do we offer any other programs where the eligibility criteria is more open, or would be a stair step to eventually being able to participate in this program? So let me speak to that, because this program, this is our flagship leader development program at the council, but I don't want to mislead and give you the impression that everyone that comes into this program is like ready to be a CEO tomorrow or 3 years away from being a CEO. I always say that there's about 3 places of folks' career journey when they come into this program where folks are. About a third of this the cohort is probably in that very high senior level, already serving in many cases, VPs. We even have some folks that might be an executive director or might be a CEO of what would be like a really small family foundation or really small community foundation, for instance, just an example, who's looking for an opportunity to go bigger, or they're very, they need the leadership support in their role in order to better prepare them to do the role that they have. Although there are also a great number of people who are very, mid to senior, who do have the years of experience, have been in the sector a while, but the role that they're in may not be reflective of that, if that makes sense. And then there have been many cases where there have been folks who've applied to this program who've maybe been on the lower end of their tenure in philanthropy, but have a great deal of professional experience, but they may just be new to the foundation world or new to their role within a foundation. And that's completely okay too. And so we try to bring various voices into the room, regardless of your tenure, regardless of the role that you have. I'm glad someone asked about, those other roles. Most folks that come into Pathways, they're not all program folks. They're not all grants admins folks. We've got finance, we've got legal. It has been a very much a diverse mixed bag in terms of the experiences. Marcoms has been super popular here lately. We've been getting a lot of folks that come from that area that have applied to the program and have chosen to participate. So, tenure it varies, as well as, the role in which people are operating in their current foundations or organizations.
Yes, thank you so much, Karan, to that. Just to add to that as well, we've had a lot of questions where people are, I'm already a COO, or I'm already, to your point, Karan, an executive director. Should I apply to this program? Another thing we like to say as well is that if you're also looking for an opportunity to expand your competencies in diversity, equity, inclusion, and racial equities and push yourself as a leader, we've had a lot of executive director people already in that position. And really this opportunity, this network has been able to push them as a leader. So maybe you're already in that position, but you still need to develop leadership capacities. This could also be a really strong program for you. Obviously, in those cases, we do look at case by case. And your commitment and your application, but I wouldn't be completely, push away from this program if you're interested in that. And then if you find that really you aren't at maybe a place, like to some of the questions we were seeing, that this is the program for you and you still need to develop some of that, we are happy to connect you to some of our partner networks. Some of our partner TSOs have incredible starting leadership programs that you can really start there and then join us after you've graduated maybe from that program, or after a couple years. We've had a lot of people that have been looking at career pathways for a couple years and then applied, and they're like, finally, I'm ready, let's go, I'm excited. And we are here and welcoming you. Another question I see, is there much homework or time required outside of the program? There is quite a bit of homework. Again, what we've been saying is that we are very intentional about understanding this environment that we're in. This virtual environment is exhausting and it takes a lot from us. And so we are being intentional about the homework that we give, having it to be very, very necessary for what we do. And then also understanding that this is a 6-month program instead of the full year-long program. So we will have it, but there will be homework. I'm not saying there isn't, but we'll be very fair to what we can give, so it can be done in the timeline that we have. Let's see. I'm curious to know if other from corporate philanthropy do their organization typically cover tuition. Yeah, most of their organizations, which is why we continue to underline the importance of you getting sponsored and having these conversations with your institutions that you're joining this program. A lot of them are supposed to be responsible for covering your leadership development costs. However, we understand that a lot of you may not have a huge leadership development budget for each individual, and which is why we're excited to offer the scholarship program. So then if you're in a position where your institution isn't able to cover all of it or none of it, and it is a personal financial commitment to yourself, then we encourage you to apply to the scholarship, so the financial barrier isn't a reason why you can't take this opportunity for yourself. How often do you meet with your coach, and is group coaching or individual coaching? It is individual coaching. It's a huge, huge opportunity. You will be meeting every month. Usually in the traditional program, it's the month that you're not in the learning session, but because this is a short month, you'll be having the executive coaching for the full 6-month program, which is huge, huge. I can't reiterate enough how much people have really, really loved it. Many people haven't even done executive coaching in the past, and this is their first opportunity to it, and it really is a huge part of the process.
Manu, can I add to that? Yes, we have the individual coaching with your executive coach, but you also, what we're introducing this year is the group mentoring experience with the alumni. And so you may be in a mentor group with 1 to 2 other people, maybe even 3, based on your unique interest. And so, for instance, if we've got some folks that are deeply interested in, X area, then we are pairing or creating these small groups with an alumni that is equally invested in that issue or has an interest, to be able to create the connections with this larger network, the alumni network, but also just the peer learning and sharing that can happen. So it's really an opportunity to get more coaching than just the executive coaching, if you will, because what we're seeing from just the mentor groups and the ability to do that is that it is supplementing the regular coaching that'll be taking place and be just as valuable for that. I think there was another question about applicants from South Africa. No, I haven't seen any from South Africa personally, but we do have alumni that are outside the US because the council doesn't just have US-based members and domestic members, but also global philanthropic organizations. And that is completely fine. And we have no issues with that whatsoever. It has sometimes been problematic for those folks to travel to the learning sessions, but they made it happen. But it should be perhaps easier to do so now that we'll be meeting virtually.
Yes, We understand we're at time and I want to respect our time. So I'm just going to share the next steps really quick again. And then I'm going to stay after to answer any questions. As I said before, the program application is due February 15th, but the scholarship application is due February 22nd. That was the difference in the timeline. Again, if you haven't filled out the sign-in sheet, please do, so we know that you were here and we have your information as well. And then I shared it in the chat just now, but these are just some really great links for you to continue to build your knowledge around the program. You can also contact Karan or myself, and we'll be happy to answer any questions via phone or email. Great.
Manu, there was another question about just the selection criteria or what that process looks like. I mean, I can just say very briefly, again, much of this is high level on the organization, on the website, and then certainly Manu can share slides that may speak to it. We have a rubric that we use. There's obviously internal reviewers within our Pathways team. We also have our Alumni Network that also help us vet interview candidates. That may be a virtual interview, obviously over the phone, over Zoom, reviewing the applications as well. We bring, we're bringing a well-rounded group, small group of folks that are familiar with the process. We do our best to not insert any bias. In the past, we have had completely blind applications, which if you want to hear more about that, just ask me. That's interesting. It has yielded great results, but you know, when you're looking for balance in the cohort and making sure that you have a great representation of folks in the organizations, foundation type, whether that's community, independent, family, private, corporate, philanthropy, it is a little bit more challenging to do so when you don't have some of those data points. But nonetheless, we as the Pathways team are involved, but we also have other folks from within the council, but also in the sector that are helping us make these recommendations for who we should admit to the program.
I have a quick question that I thought I could say much faster. You both are doing great. Thank you so much for the detailed information. In regards to groups, will there be chances for the groups, if you break them out into groups, rotating? Because I've participated in programs where you're always paired with the same individuals, and sometimes the energy among 4 people, it doesn't really jive well, and then you miss out on the opportunity to connect with 4 other people. So just wondering if those groups get rotated so you can really spend time getting to know everybody throughout the cohort.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So for us, the community that you build across your cohort is very, very important to us. And it's also part of that secret sauce that we talk about. And so we do have a lot of opportunity for you to engage and work with your entire group as a community. And when we break out into those smaller groups, we do like to transition. So you have, you know, like we talked about, our mentorship group with maybe with some people, and then you'll have other small groups that may have other people, but we do like to, you know, mix it up so you have opportunities to engage with other people.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great. I did put in the link, the link to the eligibility and selection criteria from our council pages, and there it goes in depth into the selection criteria and how we choose that as well. I'm trying to go through the normal, during normal in-program cohorts is the same price plus travel and cohort. So the normal program is not the same price. The reason why the price is different is because it is a shorter program. And so we want to consider that. And so the traditional cost that's a little higher also does not include travel. So the normal program you would additionally need to pay for your travel and your hotel. Okay.
I do not see any questions, but I just want to say before you close, Manu, thank you so much to everyone that's here. And those of you that stuck around for the extra 7 minutes, we greatly appreciate it. And if you have any questions, obviously about the Pathways program or anything COF related for that matter, certainly around programming, please let me know. Manuela here is incredibly valuable and helpful in answering your questions. You know, if you have a conversation and you realize, you know what, I'll just wait till 22 because I think I need to be with this in person. Our plan is to transition back to an in-person convening, hopefully, at some point. And so I just wanted to note that as well, because we all learn in very different ways. And so if you realize this virtual experience just isn't your jam, that's quite all right.
Thank you so much, Karan, again. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy day. I appreciate you being with us. And thank you for the rest of you. It has been wonderful meeting you. We appreciate all your questions and can hear how engaged you are. I'm sharing both of our emails in the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to connect through us there. Again, this was all recorded fun. So we'll save the recording and send it out to everyone in a follow-up email as well. So thank you again. I appreciate y'all being there and taking this step in your journey. Have a great day. Stay safe.